Alright, stop me if this sounds familiar. A remaster of a beloved game comes out, and it falls short of the original in many areas, but it's the most accessible version with a few cool new features, and so you as a consumer have to decide, is it worth putting up with the shortcomings to embrace just an accessible and in some ways enhanced version? Has that ever happened before? It happens the bulk of the time with remasters, and this is yet another one. Here's a pure fact. Plants vs. Zombies is one of the best games ever made. PopCap made pure perfection when this first released on PC, then it got ported to mobile and 360 and PS3 and DS, and everyone was happy. But then you go back to that version, and maybe there are a few shortcomings. For one, it is very low resolution. There are no options, it's just in 4x3 with quite low res assets. And even the 360 version, which is technically in HD, it's not really. They stretch the environments to be 16:9 by giving a bunch of bush areas which don't really fit in the grid of the game, it's just to fill the space. And instead of giving us higher res sprites, they've just kind of given them bigger outlines. If you zoom in on these guys, they're still going to be pretty darn blurry. Doesn't really matter much on phones when the screen is so small, and again on the DS doesn't really matter there at all. But there's never been an ideal HD version of this game, and I guess this is kinda it. Let's get it out of the way. This game has AI upscaling. Not generative AI, just AI upscaling. It's used in many different games, but that is primarily what they're using to redo the visuals here. And the results, for the most part, are pretty good. I mean, let's just zoom in on 360, zoom in on PC, and you can judge for yourself how the visuals hold up. That being said, it is not a general rule that it looks better. There are elements in this game which frankly do not look better. The upscaler they use does lose detail on a few of the sprites, and some of the small pictures just don't really look good at all. But taken as a whole, this looks like the Xbox 360 and PS3 version, just cleaner. So I don't really have that much of an issue with the presentation. It could be a lot better, they could have just redrawn everything, that would be ideal. But for what it is, this is still the best presentation for Plants vs. Zombies thus far. Not flawless, but generally kind of an improvement. And for Switch 2 players, this game is really versatile. This is a great showcase of the Joy-Con mouse, and it works much like it does in the Switch 2 menu, where it goes back and forth between button and mouse controls depending on whether the mouse is on a surface. I've seen some people, like my friend Felix at Nintendo Life, not overly satisfied with the implementation, but honestly, I like it a lot. It saves where the cursor is when you pick it up and put it back down, so there's never this jarring disconnect. And I've been yearning for just a big Switch 2 mouse game. And I played the entire thing with the mouse and had a great time doing so. This is a really good control scheme in my opinion. The button controls are just like they are on 360 and PlayStation 3. They're comfortable, they're fluid, but I think they miss something. When playing with a mouse or a touchscreen, you're actively pointing and clicking on the suns as they come down. Whereas with a controller, you just kind of glaze over them. It feels like you're missing a step. It makes things feel less urgent and chaotic, and I don't really like it like that. And the touch controls, they're okay once you get used to them. Basically, you tap and place rather than drag. And dragging should be the natural thing, given that's exactly what you do with the mouse, but you've got to adjust to just tapping the space, and once you're used to that, it's pretty good. It could be better, but it's okay. One big issue I have though is playing versus and co-op, because for whatever reason, this is only for button controls. It asks you, like, do you want to play with individual Joy-Con? That's cool, that's great for this game. And so I tried putting them down as a mouse. Nope. Try doing 2 Joy-Con setup. Can I use that as a mouse? Nope. Try using Game Share. Can I use the touchscreen in Game Share? We've got our own screens. Can we just... No, you cannot. I don't understand why this game even has Game Share, because what are you even really getting out of it? You can see everything on one screen just fine. There's no unique controls. I don't fully understand. This feels like a big wasted potential, and they could have done way more, but it's just kind of thrown in there. So you've really got a question to ask yourself. Do you love Plants vs. Zombies? And do you want to play it on the Switch too? For me, that is a definitive yes. I do love Plants vs. Zombies. This is one of the best tower defense games I've ever played. It's incredibly addictive to build up your sunflowers, get all those suns, and slowly amass an army while taking down all these zombies. There's a lot of strategy to it, and as the game goes on, it ramps up further and further with more pieces to place and more complex arenas like the one with the pool where you can't place anything unless it's on a lily pad. It really does have a lot of variety and depth, And it's cool seeing that this version includes basically everything from most of the versions. So you get the core PC game, you get the Xbox 360 stuff like the co-op and the versus mode, you get things exclusive to the Chinese version like the Great Wall, that's all really cool stuff. You also get fake concept art, which is weird. Most of it is real, but there's some strange things in there, like the disco zombie that's been confirmed not to be real. Bizarre. And there are a few other oddities like the music, which is being fixed in a patch at some point. They haven't said when exactly. Basically, right now it starts off at the most intense variation, whereas in every other version it starts off rather mild and builds up. Makes the music not sound too repetitive, and it makes the onslaught of zombies feel bigger by the end, but it doesn't work right now. I don't know how they messed that up. But there are things I do really like in this version. I like the speed up button. The speed up button's awesome. You can try and test yourself to beat a level as fast as possible as the zombies are moving in, how quick you react, or you can just fast forward through some of the slower bits, like the beginning, or maybe you've already got the best army you can get, and you just want to watch them defeat all the enemies really fast. That's a cool feature. There's also a couple of not overly game-changing things, like new skins for the plants and the zombies. That stuff's fine. But really what we're left with is another polarizing remaster. It's cool in many ways. Plants vs. Zombies on the Switch 2 is great. Playing it with a mouse is fantastic. But there's lots of small things they need to change, and it sounds like they are changing much of it. But then you're still left with some poorly AI upscaled components. It's not the remaster this game deserved to have. And if you're playing on other platforms like PC or PlayStation or Xbox, I'm not sure there's much of a reason to play this version over the old version, especially on PC. Of course, it's in widescreen and in HD now, but for the most part when playing, I don't think that's really going to be your focus. This is a very gameplay-heavy game. The visuals aren't really what you're focusing on. You're focusing on reacting to everything that's coming at you. And so can I recommend that you upgrade from an old version to a new version? It depends how much you love the game, because otherwise, not really. But if you want to play specifically with the Switch 2 features, absolutely. It's a fantastic portable game, a fantastic mouse game, and it still remains one of the most iconic and fun and creative games ever made. Although the ending scene now happens in a tube TV, which is odd, because this game didn't come out during the era of CRTs, and it just feels like you're watching somebody play a video of the ending, rather than experiencing the ending. I don't understand that. You know, right now I'm making a video about remasters I don't like, and there are many of them. And I'm questioning, does this fall into that category? And I'm not really sure, because in many ways, yes, it is inferior to the original version. But also there's enough here that I do see it as a legitimate way to play the game, not just a compromised way to play the game. Especially if you are on Switch 2, but on other platforms, I don't really know so much. In any case, should you buy this? Depends on your situation. Have you played the game before? No? Then sure, why not? This is one of the coolest games you could possibly play. Have you played the game before, but you want it on an accessible modern platform? Then also sure. Are you a die-hard fan of the game, who has access to the original and is satisfied with the original and won't jive with many of the shortcomings? Then no, I don't think this is for you. And it sucks for a remaster to not really be tailored to those core fans. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you next time. Bye-bye.